Hi, my name is Rebecca Carsis and I am a student completing my Bachelor in Early Childhood and Primary Education at Australian Catholic University. This evaluation video is to form the individual component of my final assessment for EDAR462, where as a group we were required to create and produce an art installation. Together we discussed and delegated and agreed on a number of tasks to be completed by each group member. My roles consisted of communicating and corresponding with our LIC, Beth Rankin, to organise and book the Mary MacKillop Square to conduct our installation, and to borrow pin boards from the university. Additionally, I was also involved in the development of ideas that led to the creation of our art piece, attended every group session outside tutorial hours, was present for the duration of our art installation, provided one of 2 cameras used for filming on the day, and was part of the collaborative effort for creating this website. First off, I would like to begin this video by deconstructing some of the key ideas within our quote. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. This quote was given to us in one of our initial creative arts education workshops and provided the foundation of much of our work from here on out. From research, we discovered that this quote was in fact Article 6 in the Declaration of Human Rights. This document was drafted by a number of representatives from different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions all over the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on the 10th of December in 1948 as a common standard of achievements for all peoples and all nations. It sets out, for the first time, fundamental human rights to be universally protected, and it has been translated into almost 500 languages. Although Article 6, everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law, forms part of the Declaration of Human Rights, it also makes mention in a number of other international documents. For example, in Article 16, of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 24 in the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, Article 5 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and Article 12 in the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Additionally, within the Declaration of Human Rights, there are also 29 other articles, 30 in total, that outline a universal standard for the basic rights of all persons. This is including such things as education and religion, through to anti-slavery and arbitrary arrest. From the aforementioned, it became abundantly clear just how meaningful our quote really was, and also how connected and significant it was, not just to us, but to every individual across the world. With this notion in mind, we decided that our installation should extend beyond the collaboration of just our group to include the public, providing opportunities for us to expose and represent the views of the wider population. Although this was our intention, it is critical to mention that there were limitations. Some being that we were not able to represent the Australian population or international population as a whole, given that we could not complete the process in other areas or different states or different countries. However, let it be known that some of those that did contribute to our final piece were in fact students from overseas, and they were of different and diverse religious and cultural backgrounds. In addition to this, we realised that our installation may only seem accessible to fluent English readers or writers or speakers, as it required contributors to read and respond to Article 6. However, in an attempt to somewhat counteract this, we engaged in verbal dialogue and discussion with most individuals that interacted with our piece, and provided the option for people to draw or restructure a selection of books that titled the other 29 articles in the Declaration of Human Rights. This meant that individuals were able to contribute their knowledge, ideas and realisations in a number of ways. So, inspiring our installation piece were 2 renowned artists, Banksy and Ella Nuzzi. Banksy is an English-based graffiti artist, political activist, and films director. He is recognised for his satirical street art and stencil work that approaches political and social issues with dark humour. Having recently held an exhibition in the heart of Melbourne, our installation was heavily influenced by his work, and the idea that his art is created on publicly visible surfaces such as walls and self-built physical prop pieces inspired us to manufacture our own art wall, where the public could not only be a viewer but be an artist themselves. Additionally, Banksy's work frequently contains messages to its viewers and is designed to stimulate and confront dilemmas in modern society. In accordance with this, Horn delineates that installation art has purpose and meaning, and is often created in response to challenging contemporary issues. These ideas formed the forefront of our installation as we attempted both to convey a message and have others contribute their own. Another inspirational figurehead was Nuzzi. He is an internationally acclaimed artist who utilises simple materials such as bottle caps to create three-dimensional artworks. However, what separates Nuzzi from sculpture and presentation artists is that, similar to Banksy, he too expresses ideas and views through his creations. His work can interrogate the history of colonialism and draw connections between consumption, waste, and the environment. In knowing that much of his work was three-dimensional, our group decided to implement the use of brown paper wrapped books indicating the 29 other articles. To me, the brown paper wrapping symbolised the simplicity and the basic rights of all humans, and the books further symbolised communication, accessibility, commitment, and the phrase, "we have that in writing." Now, although not one of the chief inspirations for our installation, a Melbourne-based street artist by the name of Lush Socks could be considered to have played a small part in the creation process. Lush Socks is a controversial and provocative street artist that has recently tackled ideas of overseas politics, namely the US presidential election involving Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. His work has seen much scrutiny from the public and Australian authority figures as of recent. However, he continues to challenge the system through censorship. Although our installation was not intentionally created to be provocative or entirely politically centred, as much of Lush Socks' work is currently, we did understand that our quote, "everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law," had the potential to raise a number of insightful and controversial ideas or understandings from those that chose to engage with our piece. All right, so how did our installation draw connections with the Australian curriculum? Immediately, links can be seen between media arts, visual arts, and our installation piece. So according to the Australian curriculum, in both media arts and visual arts, students make and respond to arts knowledge, understanding, and skills to represent meaning associated with personal and global views. This is where our installation encourages students to explore their extrinsic and intrinsic world. In this case, specifically in relation to human rights, how this affects them and those in the international sphere. Through either watching or creating their own installation, students develop conceptual and perceptual ideas and representations through the design and inquiry process, and forge critical and creative thinking skills, languages, and knowledge of theories and practices consistent with the Australian arts curriculum. In further association with the Australian arts curriculum overview, it could be said that the creative process also builds confidence, curiosity, imagination, and enjoyment. However, of particular importance, in visual arts, students view the world through various lenses and contexts. This is a significant idea and one that ties closely with our piece, being human. The installation necessitated that we recognise and respect the opinion and ideas of those that contributed to the piece. However, also that we understand that everyone has their own unique and individual perception, and that this is the result of personal experience. This concept is also noted by Duncombe, who describes that every individual sees the same thing differently, and that sometimes, no matter how hard you might try to understand the idea of another, you cannot, simply because you are not them and you have not seen the world through their eyes. Furthermore, the arts play a significant role in values education in Australian schools and is often multidisciplinary and spans across the curriculum. Fortunately, the quote that was provided to us by our LIC holds much weight and can be used to educate students about a number of rich and meaningful ideas relevant to their personal, national and global contexts. It can be used to explore the humanities, ideas related to history and the development of the Declaration of Human Rights. It can be used to explore and understand Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures, and can be used to investigate Asia and Australia's engagement with Asia. However, at the pole position, the installation created as a result of Article 6 forges way for ethical learning, discussion and creativity. This is where the ethical capability domain in the Australian curriculum outlines that students develop knowledge, understanding and skills that enable them to analyse and evaluate ethical issues, recognising areas of contestability, identify the basis of ethical principles and ethical reasoning, engage with the challenges of managing ethical decision-making and action for individuals and groups, and nurture open-mindedness and reasonableness. Considering that Article 6 is part of an internationally recognised ethical document, without much doubt I can say that our installation, Being Human, tackles the idea of values and ethics and provides a platform for students to begin to interrogate the concepts above. Briefly, I would also like to make mention that creating art is often understated and underestimated in primary school classrooms. Not only does art have the capacity to generate connected and insightful understandings, however, if managed and conducted in classrooms appropriately by educators, it also provides a safe haven for self-expression and stimulates higher order thinking capacities. As known to many of us aspiring teachers, creating art and creating in general situates itself at the top of the hierarchical model of learning objectives and outcomes, according to the revised model of Bloom's taxonomy. Therefore, engaging in the process and creation of art installation pieces can be considered an essential part of teaching and learning in primary school classrooms. As a final sign-off, I would just like to thank Beth Rankin and my tutorial teacher for assisting in the organisation process and for always sparing a word of encouragement and support. Thank you to my group for working so seamlessly and positively together, and to all those that contributed to our installation. I would like to extend my greatest appreciation, as I know that some of the ideas cultivated and expressed during our installation were underpinned by personal experience, passion and individual beliefs.